Hi there. In this video we'll be covering where to begin to write a book. I bet you think I'm going to say it's great to start at the beginning, but no, it's not. it's really not always great to start at the beginning, and I think it's a great time waster to start at the beginning. And I want to make this process empowering and efficient for you. So stay tuned for some of my biggest and best efficiency tips. By the end of this video, you will learn how to choose a book topic, how to make sure your audience connects with your message, and why focus matters so much with book writing. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. When you think about writing your book, purpose is such an important part of it. Purpose is the motivation to keep going, even though it's so hard, even though it's so challenging. Purpose is the reason for it all. If you don't unlock your purpose, you're going to have a really tough time finishing. You're going to have a tough time sticking with it. You're going to have a tough time plowing through. You're going to have a tough time overcoming the obstacles that pop up in your path because you're going to say, you know what? It's really hard. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to push this away. Then 6 months, a year, 2 years go by and you're like, oh, remember that time I was working on that book? Oh yeah, haven't worked on it in a long time. You know, it's embarrassing when someone asks you about it. How's the book coming along? I haven't done anything on it. You know, it's a shame. You know, there's so many great books that haven't been written, and there's so many great books that you should be writing. You know, maybe there's a book in you that is going to change somebody's life. It's not going to have that impact if you don't write it. Once you figure out your purpose, figure out a topic, figure out what you're going to write about. This is going to be something that you're going to be connected with for potentially years to come. So choose wisely. You don't want to pick a book topic that you're going to hate. You want to pick something you want to feel connected to for a long time. Something that's going to resonate for you for years to come. I remember when I first started working on a book about a baseball player named Ken Caminiti. I started working on that book 13 years ago. At this point, you know, from the book itself, I interviewed 400 people, but I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations about the book, discussing the book, people asking about the book. You know, it's endless. I talk about him, you know, all the time. It comes up. So it's one of those things that, you know, if you write a book, if you work on a book, you're going to be connected to it for years to come. Years to come. So pick a good topic. Pick a topic you're going to be interested in 2, 5, and 10 years from now. Because ultimately, that's going to help you write a better book. If you want to just be done with the thing, you're going to rush out something that you're not happy with just to say, I'm finished, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. You don't want that. You want to take the time to get it right. You want to spend time with the topic that you want to spend time with. Before I write anything with a book, one of the things I really focus on is book foundation work. And that really comes down to hook, audience, and outline. With your hook, what is the reader takeaway and how are they going to benefit? How are they going to carry this forward with them in one sentence? You need to break it down to one sentence, because if you can't break it down to one sentence, every time someone asks you what's your book about, and you start talking for 2 or 3 minutes, like no one wants that. Simplify. Because if you don't simplify, no one's going to know what your book is about, and they're not going to be wanting to read it. They're just going to want to stop. They're going to say, okay, yeah, no thanks, that's good. Audience, who is your book for? You want to understand who your book's for, because that's going to help carry the message forward. If you don't understand who your book's for, and you try to write for everybody or write for too broad of an audience, you're going to miss your actual audience. You're going to miss the people who are going to tell other people about this book. You know, it's just going to be a missed opportunity. So really burrow deep on your audience. And then there's the outline. The outline is the structure and foundation for the book. You know, what is the reader journey from beginning and end of the book? And then moving forward from that. Maybe there's a call to action. You know, maybe you want to send them to your website or to your high-value services or offerings. You need a journey to get there. You know, just like a road trip, you need a roadmap. You don't want to drive aimlessly hoping you figure it out. It's a waste of time and effort. You want to have the roadmap, and that outline provides the foundation. So do that book foundation work before you write anything. So often when people write a book, they start focusing on the introduction first. I don't do that. I actually start writing the book and come back to the introduction later. Most of the time, I write about half the book before I even think about the introduction. And it depends, because, you know, if you're writing a self-help book, for example, your introduction is really going to be, here's the problem, here's a solution, here's how the book's going to help you do the thing. If you read the book, you're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and it's going to help you in these ways. So it's more formulaic. If you're writing narrative nonfiction or some other type of book, you're going to want to start with the moment that everything changed, the moment that everything clicked into place, the most impactful or tense moment of the story. Sometimes you don't actually know what that is right away. So why spend the time trying to figure it out now at the very beginning when you can figure it out as you're writing? You can actually go through the writing process and see this is actually the most interesting part. Let's move that to the front. I think a lot of times too, authors spend so much time focusing on the first chapter or the opening of the book that they then lose interest in the middle. They say, okay, well, I'm going to spend all this time going back and forth over the same ground, and then they have a sagging middle of their book. And now a reader's frustrated that they were so excited by, this promise at the beginning of the book, and then they got midway through and they're like, I have lost it. I lost the spark. I don't care about this book anymore. I hate the character. You don't want to do that. You do not want to do that. You want to spend the time to make sure the writing carries the reader forward. And I think one of the best ways to do that is by not worrying about the introduction, coming back to it, and writing it when you have an understanding of what you want that introduction to look like. One of the most important things that you can do when writing a book is focus. There's a reason why people who are great are truly great, I think about Tiger Woods with golfing, and the whole world is crashing around him, and there's all these fans around, and you can see him on the 18th green lining up his putt and getting ready to putt, and he has supreme focus. The best athletes in the world have extreme focus, and they can get that tunnel vision, that all they're thinking about is shooting the shot, getting the hit, sinking the putt. It's focus, it's tunnel vision. You need that tunnel vision when you're writing too. It's so important to be able to block things out and focus on the task at hand. I'm not talking about ignoring your life and just spending time on the book. I'm talking about 15 minutes at a time, 20 minutes at a time. Being able to put your phone away or turn off notifications and focus on the task at hand. Doing the best that you can in this moment to really burrow down deep, to really focus all of your attention and focus on this one thing. If you can do that for 15 or 20 minutes a day, you can write a great book. If you can do that for a couple times a week, you can write a great book. It's all about consistent progress and consistent focus. The worst thing that you can do is sit there for hours on end aimlessly sitting what should I do now? What am I going to write today? We spend so much time getting ready to write that we miss the chance to write. A lot of times I think writers think, I'm going to devote more time to book writing. Time is only impactful when it's useful, when it's efficiently utilized, when you make the most of it. If you don't make the most of your time and you're just wasting time, that's no good. You can sit there and write all day and write nothing. Or you can spend 20 minutes of focus time and write hundreds of words. If you can do that every day or even a couple times a week, you're going to go a long way to writing a great book. But it takes focus. Writing a book requires focus, and it requires you to give all of your best attention to it. So whatever it takes, block out the distractions, find a way, and find the path to focus. Ultimately, writing a book is a measure of consistency. It's about making good habits. It's about doing the thing day after day after day. Rome was not built in a day, and even if you use AI to write your book, you're not going to be able to write a good book in a day. It requires you to show up day after day. It requires consistency. Being able to devote yourself to it day after day after day is all about consistency. I remember there was a documentary I watched about the rock group, the Eagles, and they were talking about Jackson Browne and how he was practicing Doctor My Eyes, which was his breakout hit. And they lived next door to him, and he would play the first verse for an hour a day, and then he would play the second verse. He practiced it again and again and again. That's what I'm talking about. It's that consistency. It's showing up for yourself day after day after day and doing the work. If you can do that consistently, good things are going to happen with your book, and good things are going to happen with your message and story, but you need to be consistent and build good habits. If you're not making the most of your time and you're letting life get in the way, you're not going to be able to write the great book that you have inside of you. So this is really about decluttering. It's about letting go of all the stuff that's in your way. It's about making the most of your attention and focus and time, bringing all of those things together and using it to write an awesome book that's going to change somebody's life. If you want to learn more about where to begin to write a book, I have an accountability course I want you to check out. It's my Good Book Accountability course. We meet weekly, myself and other authors. We talk through our issues. We have conversations about the book writing process. You know, we just share in each other's successes and struggles and help each other through. If you want to learn more about that course, you can head to my website. It's goodbookmastery.com. You can click the link below. We'd love for you to check out the course. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.